Greetings, New Bedford community. I am New Bedford Public School Superintendent Andrew O'Leary, and I'm pleased to wish you and your families a happy Thanksgiving. Now, throughout October and November, over 1,000 third grade students from all New Bedford elementary schools participated in field studies at Plimoth Patuxet museums. One great example was our Congdon Elementary School. These trips were made possible by a generous grant from the Sheehan Family Foundation. Now, they align directly with the Massachusetts Grade 3 Social Studies curriculum. Students explore the self-government of the Plymouth Colony, the Mayflower Compact, relationships between the Wampanoag leaders, and the complex history behind early celebration of thanks. I'm so excited that New Bedford Cable Access has put together this special video featuring these field studies and the students at our Congdon Elementary. I'm sure it will be a great treat for you to view this Thanksgiving.
It was a beautiful fall morning when the students from the Congdon Elementary School stepped off the bus, eager and excited to start their Plymouth adventure. They first traveled to the State Pier in downtown to board the Mayflower II, the 1957 replica of the ship that brought the Pilgrims to the New World. It was aboard the ship that the Pilgrims drafted the Mayflower Compact, which established the principle of self-government based on the consent of the governed, which was a radical idea in 1620. The first stop on board was the 'tween deck. This is where the Pilgrims actually lived while on board. There were 50 men, 20 women, and 32 children. Very crowded living conditions.
This deck would have been living space for livestock as well. Pigs, goats, chickens, and dogs, according to a few letters from the colony within 3 years after the colony being founded. This room would have been completely dark. The hatches down here, the gun ports, would have been closed, along with a hatch above our heads. So there would have been a boat on top of this hatch as well. It would have been very dark on this floor. They might have had candles for living down here, the Pilgrims. The ceiling down here has been modified for safety reasons. This could have been 8 inches lower in the Pilgrims' time. So they were probably ducking down here. Bedding was most likely on the floor. They could have had bedrolls on deck for sleeping quarters, simple mattresses. Some ships had wooden beds like that one we have over there in the corner. That's a bedfill for a crewman on a ship. It's unlikely that's what the passengers got. So imagine living on the ship for an entire 66-day voyage, plus the winter months after arrival. That's another 4 months for the Pilgrims of living on the ship. 5 weeks of scouting Cape Cod using boats like our shallop over there on the left side of the ship, the port side, as well as 3 months building houses here from mid-December 1620 till March. That's over half a year living in Mayflower.
The students proceeded up one level to the main deck to learn about how to steer the ship and to explore the captain's quarters.
They won't think up the actual wheel we're used to seeing up there for almost 100 years. So instead of spinning anything around, you tilt this big lever side to side. And since you can't see where you're going out there, everybody in charge who's working above us, yells through this hatch in the deck down to the guy tilting. You'd have compasses in that cabinet just to make sure you're staying on course. It works pretty well, it's just weird to think it's all they have. And then you would have petty officers sleeping to either side in here. Captain and a VIP are back in there. You're not terribly comfortable, you're just less miserable. But you get a lot smoother of a ride, more space per person, fresh air, light, stuff like that.
Up next, the students learned all about the half deck.
This is my captain, this is my first mate, and this is my second mate. They are the ones in charge. Everyone else that's on this deck, you're my crew. You guys are the ones doing the actual work, the heavy lifting. All of you would have been staying on the main deck below us. Well, it's just these three up here. Now, my first mate and my second mate, they get one of the nicest rooms on the ship. They're sleeping in this little cabin right behind me at the stern. Now, that's called the roundhouse. Doesn't look very round, does it? No. So that's one of the things about ships. Really silly names that don't make sense. But the roundhouse would have been the first mate and the second mate's room. Now, they were the navigators too, so all of their equipment, their compasses, their maps, their charts, they're in that room too. Now, they're taking turns. One would be sleeping for 4 hours while the other one was out here working. So this is called the conning hatch. Under this, there's a grate. That's how my navigators would communicate with the people who were down steering. Yeah. These are belaying pins. So these are one of my favorite parts of the ship. So this is what we use to secure all the lines on board. It looks a lot like a club, doesn't it, or a baseball bat? It's not what you use it for. I know it might be fun, but no. These are to secure all the lines on board. So it looks a lot like this when we're out sailing. Now, when the ship is fully rigged for a sail, like we were in August, every single one of these pins has a line on it.
What's that up there?
That's the poop deck. What do you think the poop deck is used for, everyone? It's not. I know it sounds like it should be, but it isn't. The bathroom on a ship like this is at the very, very front. A ship like this with the sails, it needs the sails and the wind to go. So the wind comes from the back, the stern here, all the way forward. If you go to the bathroom off the back of the ship, it's going to go right in the captain's window and you're not going to make any friends. You're going to be my line leader here. You're going to poke your head in, loop around the mast, and then when everyone's ready, you're going to head right off that gangway.
From Mayflower 2, students headed south of town to Plimoth Patuxet Museums, a unique living history museum situated on 130 acres along the Eel River. This area includes living history exhibits, galleries, and diverse landscapes like forests, fields, marshes, and a riverfront. Students first hiked through the woods and arrived at the Wampanoag home site. The Wampanoag are one of many nations of indigenous people across the Americas whose ancestors lived here long before the Europeans arrived. Today, Wampanoag people still live across parts of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. At the home site, students learned about Wampanoag culture, including food preparation, pottery manufacture, building homes called Wetu, and log canoes called Mishoon.
And then I would start a fire from one end all the way to the other end, burning down till I get to the widest part of this log. And then I will keep my fire more in the middle. I will continue to have that fire burning in the middle of the log. And I will take a stick like this, I will scrape up those coals, and I will allow it to burn down deeper. In burning, you're going to see this white stuff coming out on the outside. That's sap, okay? And that sap is going to become a natural sealant to the outside of this boat. Traditionally, if I was burning it 24 hours a day, having the whole length going like the Wampanoag people would, I could complete this boat in about 4 to 5 days burning round the clock. Where I might have my brother or my father come over to give me a little bit of rest. But when I made a boat, something like this one would last about 10 years. This is pine. I more probably be making a boat out of chestnut or elm, a good hardwood that will last me 20 or 30 years.
So you see us cooking in a metal pot, right? That's something we would have got after trading with the Pilgrims. This is what you'd see Wampanoag people cooking in before. This is made out of clay. And the Pilgrims said that Wampanoag people made pots like this, but large enough that a small child could crawl down inside of. Is that a big pot? It's a really big pot, right? So they made really big pots. And they would get the clay right from the river here, and they'd make pots out of it like this. And that's what they cooked in. So they've been using clay pots like this for about 3,000 to 5,000 years. Before that, they used soapstone bowls, and that's what they cooked in.
From there, students set off again, this time up a steep hill through the woods to the 17th century English village of the Pilgrims. The reconstructed village is set in the year 1627 and includes a fort and meeting house, many thatch-roofed homes, gardens, barns, and rare breed livestock. First stop is the fort and meeting house.
What do you think? Would this be comfortable to wear? No! It might be a little heavy, but you know what? It's better to be a little bit uncomfortable than a lot injured. And that's what armor is all about, to protect your body if you're fighting.
In the village, students asked many questions of the Pilgrim historical reenactors about what a day in the life of the Pilgrims was like.
I'm going to make it, but you're welcome to stir that up a bit more. Gosh, could use some. And perhaps could you put your handful of that flour in there?
Of the harvest feast we now call the First Thanksgiving, Pilgrim Edward Winslow wrote the only eyewitness account in 1621.
Our harvest being gotten in, our governor sent 4 men on fowling, that we might after a more special manner rejoice together, after we had gathered the fruits of our labors. Many of the Indians coming amongst us, and among the rest their greatest king Massasoit, with some 90 men, whom for 3 days we entertained and feasted, and they went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to the plantation, and bestowed on our governor, and upon the captain and others.
Afterwards, students enjoyed their school lunch on the Visitor Center grounds before their return to New Bedford. They expressed the hope to return to Plimoth Patuxet with their families to show them all they learned and to further explore the many additional exhibits and galleries. The New Bedford School Department again would like to thank the Sheehan Family Foundation, the entire staff of the Mayflower 2, and Plimoth Patuxet for this memorable learning experience, a uniquely immersive and indelible field study entirely aligned with the Massachusetts curriculum framework for history and social science for grade 3.